Hey everybody, welcome back to the internet once again. If you didn't see at the end of yesterday's video, I've noticed that there's a lot of people telling their own stories in my comments, which I think is awesome, and I kind of want to give them some more credit, so I'll probably be making a video just reading these stories out loud one of these days. So if you want a story you want to share, go ahead and leave it in my comments, and maybe it'll end up in a video sometime. But that video is not today. So today we're going to be reading some Entitled Parents stories, starting with well, I'll just let you read the title yourself. So when I was 16, I used to work at a very local hotel since I dropped out of the sixth form, the British version of a stage before college. I took on a lot of roles and it was extremely hard work, unsociable hours, awful pay, and harsh management. After working there for about a year, the general manager came up to me and offered me some hours down in our leisure area, which I graciously accepted as any simple-minded, desperate-for-money person would do. This leisure center was composed of a pool, small gym, jacuzzi. Let me tell you, to work down there was no small task. It was hot for us Brits. 40-degree heat is kinda nasty, especially with the workload on your shoulders. Whilst on shift downstairs, you were in charge of maintaining the pool, cooking, cleaning, taking calls, providing show around for the potential members and stuff like that. We offered a range of memberships to best suit most people, ranging from families to pensioners living off their pensions. Now then, the fun part. It was a very hot day, so I'm talking sweat everywhere. I'm going about my duties of mopping the floor by the jacuzzi when I make out a small kid looking through the window, face and hands pressed against the glass, which I had just polished about 10 minutes prior. No biggie, we were all kids once. I noticed he's with someone, so I stopped what I'm doing and head to the reception desk to greet him. I was greeted by full Monty Karen herself, needs no explanation, so I smiled and said hi and asked how I could help. She says, "Can you let us in? Charlie wants to swim." I say, "That's fine, madam. Are you staying at the hotel?" She says, "No." I say, "Oh, okay. Are you a member?" She says, "Of course not. Your prices are far too ridiculous." Now, I've dealt with a lot of crap whilst working here, so an attitude never really fazed me. I say, "Well, I'm awfully sorry, madam, but the leisure facilities are for guests and members only." She says, "Are you freaking serious? Do you know how far I've driven to be here? I'm meeting my friends upstairs in the lounge in literally 10 minutes. I clocked that earlier she said, "Can you let us in?" which plays a key part as I put pieces together towards the end. After a bit back and forth and a lot of cursing in my direction, she finally left with the kid vowing that she'd have my job for this. Whatever, everyone says that but never really follows through, I thought. So I carried on about my business, sweating, cleaning, cooking, looking after the regulars who knew me very well, as the night slowly came to a close. So by now, everyone is either getting changed to leave or have already left, so the pool is silent along with everything else. So I'm in the gym, wiping down the equipment when I hear a random sploosh. So I turn around and head to the poolside where I see a fully clothed kid sinking to the bottom of the deep end whilst trying to get air. My instincts kick in and I'm in the water in seconds. I dive under, pulling him up and check that he's all okay. He's crying, of course. He didn't mean to do what he did, he just wanted to swim. Fun fact, he couldn't. All of the commotion attracts the attention of the regulars still around who give me a hand in calming the kid down, when all of a sudden, boom, 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 I can hear from even the poolside. Entitled mom, drink in hand, red-faced, and primed for action. She says, "Get your freaking hands off my kid, you pedo." She continues to march over to me. I say, "I beg your pardon?" She attempts to straight up swing for me whilst I'm tending to her kid. Luckily, the regulars step in and keeping her from trying to maul me. She says, "He just wanted to swim, and you were just gonna let him drown?" I say, "Right. I explained to you quite clearly earlier that you couldn't, and there is even a policy on the wall which states that children under 12 years must be supervised." That policy was the one saving grace I had during this. It's literally in a frame in the front desk, so it's clear for all. I start guiding this poor kid back to his mom before she attempts another swing, even almost tried throwing her glass at me. She says, "You touch my son again and my fiancé will freaking kill you." By this time, the duty manager and station at the time was downstairs and by my side. We'll call him Jack. Jack explained that she really had to leave. She was causing a public disruption to the flow of business, and threatening staff never went down well. "I'm not leaving until you sack that piece of crap you call staff." "Well, you'll be here a long time, but if it'll help improve your situation, you can happily explain your behavior to the police who has been called during this period." Well, that was it. All wide-eyed and tipsy, she yanked Charlie away and stumbled off in a quick-paced march to her fellow Karen troop who were all waiting for her at the entrance, and they vanished super fast. Jack checked that I was okay and asked if I was good in closing up and everything, to which I replied, "Yeah," and continued closing. The regulars wished me well and brought me in a box of chocolates and a crate of beer the following evening. We had that sort of relationship where we all knew what each other liked. I handed in my notice a few months after because the money just wasn't good enough, and crap like that was becoming all too common. But this story always crops up every now and again during story time. Moral of the story, don't work in the hotel industry. Well, it goes to show you that some people are actually pretty skilled at dealing with these entitled parents. And isn't that what we all want? Anyways, on to the next story called Entitled Mom Tries to Steal a Mountain. So this happened many years ago during winter. So my fiance and me want to go to the mountain with the cable car. When we park our car at the parking lot, a woman, entitled mother, comes up to us yelling that we're not allowed to park there. She bought the parking lot. Since we knew the parking lot was owned by the city, we didn't care and told her that she can call the police if she wants. Then we walked to the valley station with our sledges. We see and hear her trying to pull the same with other people. At the valley station, we buy our tickets and went to wait for the cable car. It always takes about 15 minutes. One goes up and one goes down the mountain. Entitled mother rushes through the station with her kids. When the older lady from the station tells her that she needs to buy tickets, an entitled mother gets angry and yells at the ticket lady something like this. I just bought the whole mountain and this station. I also bought the cable railway. You're my employee and now get rid of all these people here on my private property. The ticket seller lady has an I'm too old for this crap look on her face and just went back to selling tickets. Entitled mother still screams at everyone waiting for the cable car to get rid. The cable car arrives, entitled mother pushes her children into it and blocks the entry. Now usually one cable car fits about 20 to 30 people with skis and sledges. She stops everyone else from entering the car and yells at the ticket lady to start the cable car. The ticket lady still has her I'm too old for this crap look on her face, tells her that she needs to buy tickets and make space for other people, especially those who bought tickets. Entitled mother doesn't move a single inch and continues to yell. Now I know that you can't start the cable car with an open door, and thus I don't expect anything to happen. And nothing happened. After a few minutes, 2 cops show up and remove the entitled mother and her kids from the cable car. The entitled mother is still yelling that she bought the frigging parking lot, she bought the frigging valley station, she bought the frigging mountain. I guess she wants her kids to experience empty tracks for a while. Didn't work out as she expected. Was this person, like, mentally insane or something? Like, where did she get the idea that she just bought all of this stuff? It kind of reminds me of that episode of South Park where Cartman buys a theme park just to keep everyone else out of the park so he can ride everything without lines. So maybe this person's just trying to bring that into real life. Anyways, on to entitled parent tries to leave her kids with me and then tries to run me over when I say no. So I have 2 kids that absolutely love hanging out with all the kids every age in our area. So needless to say, I always have a yard full of children on any given day. I never mind that though, as I would rather have them outside playing instead of inside on their video games. Since this is an every single day thing, I always make sure that I have water bottles and snacks for any of the kids that show up, since I don't want my kids to eat or drink in front of the other kids without having stuff to share with their friends. This is where it starts. Yesterday I was outside painting a nightstand in my driveway, while a group of 10 kids were playing in my yard. I hear a car speeding around the corner and turn around to see a car slams on their brakes directly in front of my house. I assume this was a hostile person upset about something, so I tell all the kids to go into the backyard while I figure out what this person's problem is. As I get to the end of the driveway, I see this lady telling her child, probably 5 or 6 years old, to get out and go play. I stand there confused as I've never seen this child before, so I walk to her passenger door and this was the conversation. I say, "Hi, I think you have the wrong address." She says, "No, I don't. I'll be back around 8 or 9 to get her." It's 4 p.m. I say, yeah, that's cool, but I don't think this small child should be left alone for that long." She says, "Alone? You'll be watching her." "I won't be watching anyone, so again, wrong house. You have all the neighborhood kids here, and you can add another one. She hasn't eaten yet, so she needs lunch and dinner." I say, "I have my friends' kids here. I'm not watching them. They are here by choice and with their parents' permission. I also don't feed any child until I have spoken directly to their parents and make sure I know of any allergies. I don't cook meals for anyone." She attempts to drive off, so I yell, "If you leave her here, you can pick her up from the police station." That comment didn't sit well with her. She threw her car in park and got out to get in my face. She said, "Are you threatening me? I can say you kidnapped her and have you thrown in jail." I point at the security cameras on my home. "Please do, I would love that." At this point, she lifts her hand in an attempt to hit me. That didn't happen as she looked down and seen that I was open carrying. When she sees my weapon, she quickly yells for her child to get in the car. She throws it in reverse and flies into the driveway, probably in an attempt to scare me, which it didn't. coming within inches of hitting me, and then proceeds to run over the nightstand I was painting and breaking it while damaging her own car. She says, "You'll be getting a bill from my lawyer for damaging my car." Again, I point out my security cameras. When she leaves, I call the police and the parents of all the children that were playing at my house, and I turn over the footage to the police and send copies to the parents to cover myself in case this parent tried to accuse me of things that weren't true. The police have since reached out saying that they had located the woman because she had in fact tried to file a police report saying I held her at gunpoint and tried to kidnap her daughter. Apparently she thought my cameras were just for show. She unfortunately waited a bit too long to file a fake report since I had already made a report and turned over the footage to the police by the time she had called. She got in trouble for making a false report, and again when her insurance company reached out to me for the insurance info since she claimed my car hit hers. She lives in my area, so I'm sure this won't be the last time I see this parent or child. I do feel bad for the kid though. She was looking so horrified the entire time this was going on. And if the parents had simply asked if her daughter could play at my house, I would have said yes and got the parent's phone number and everything would have been fine. Some parents should really not have kids. Who would even want to leave their child with a complete stranger? That's a good question. Why would you just see a bunch of kids playing and be like, "Oh, looks like this is a free daycare, so here, take my kid now, I'll be back later." I don't know. If this story is like actually true, this lady just sounds completely insane. Just like all the other stories from today. And to the last story of the day, called, "Why Won't You Watch My Child While I Shop?" So firstly, I work in a fairly small store. I'd say perhaps the entire building is roughly a quarter the size of Walmart. Now, the vast majority of my customers are adults, as we sell office supplies, so toys and children aren't really our thing. I've been working there a year or so now, and this was last year. A few months into my job while I was still only a cashier. Now that that's out of the way, entitled Mother. So a fairly short story, but one evening was particularly dead. Little to no customers in the store, and I had completed everything I could have been doing at that time and had nothing left to do but wait for customers and watch my space at the register. I'm fairly anal about getting us ready for close on time, and spend a majority of my time cleaning the front end of the store. So with everything completed, I understand I look somewhat unbusy. Enter in the entitled mom with her bundle of hatred, roughly 15 to 20 minutes before we finally close. The first thing she does is take a cart, and wheels it over to my register, and me, being happy to have something to do, greet her happily, and ask her if there is anything I may do for her this evening. She says, "Actually there is. I need someone to watch my son, beep, while I shop. Are you able to do that for me?" In this moment, I first look over the aforementioned parasite, which is standing next to her, which raised more than a few questions, but I knew better than to ask. I say, "Unfortunately, ma'am, that is a service I am unable to provide. I can't watch a child. I've been warned that due to policy, I can't take responsibility for any property belonging to customers unless it's related to a service we offer." She says, "You sure? I'll only be shopping for a while, and I need someone to watch him." "But it would be violating store policy, and due to that, I must ask you to take your child with you as you shop." I was hoping that would be the end of the conversation, as I could only use my customer service voice for so long, but sadly it was not. She says, glaring, "I will not ask again. Watch my son." Beginning to feel somewhat worried now, I say, "Ma'am, as I have explained, I have no say in the matter. I cannot watch your child, as it would put my job and the store at risk." She says, "F off, you lazy sack of crap. Just watch him for half a freaking hour." My anger gets the better of me. I say, "Ma'am, your child can walk. He doesn't need watching." She says, "Don't give me attitude. Who is your manager? I'll have you fired for this." I say, "Then let's go get him." I walk to the back office, greeting my manager who was closing that evening, and coincidentally the customer service manager. He says, "Hey buddy, I hear yelling out there. I was just about to go see what about. What's up?" I explain the situation while we walked up front. He laughs and says, perhaps all too loudly, "What is she, stupid?" I say, "Mentally challenged at least, sir." We arrive at the register to discover that her child is throwing all the next in-line items on the floor while she stands watching, glaring at us. My manager says, "Is there a problem, ma'am?" She says, "Yes, your sorry freaking excuse of a worker refuses to watch my son while I shop." The manager begins to say exactly what I wanted to. "That's because it's against store policy. If something were to happen to that child, we would be held responsible. Secondly, it isn't his job to babysit. It is your child, and you have to watch him. Why would you even leave your child with a complete stranger? He can walk with you, obviously." "He's not busy. He looks like he has nothing at all to do. He can watch my son. I heard what he said about me as you both walked here. He's got far too much attitude." Says, "Ma'am, if this continues, I will call the police. Either shop with your child or leave." I'd like to take this moment to say I chuckled, as I watched her gremlin throw a bag of gummy bears at his mother, causing her to yelp in pain. She says, "Stop your laughing. You're going to be fired for this." He says, "Leave or I'll call the police. Now." She took this invitation and left, dragging her goblin behind her by the arm, as he screamed all the while. I felt somewhat bad for the child as I cleaned up the mess. It's not his fault his mother enables such bad behavior, but not much I could have done, I suppose. Stuff like this doesn't happen often, as most of our customers are general, kind, office-working people. But when it does happen, boy oh boy is it bad. And people wonder why I don't like dealing with kids. Funny, isn't it? Wow, we got 2 stories in a row of entitled mothers trying to drop their kids off with strangers. I don't know what's worse, the fact that these mothers think they're entitled to get a free babysitter out of all of this, or that they're so okay with just leaving their kids with strangers and not caring about their safety much. Anyways, these were some rough stories to get through. Just a reminder to everybody, leave whatever stories you want read in the comments, and maybe I'll get to them. And that does it for today's Entitled Parents, so thanks for watching.